This week's episode is brought to you by Fairy Godmother Travel. Contact them for all your Disney travel needs. Send them an email at communicoreweekly@fairygodmothertravel.com and tell them we sent you.
Communicore Weekly. Come on and get geeky with Bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might get some freaking. You waited all week. I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff. And for once, George, you took a trip without me. And I'm jealous of that.
Oh, I went somewhere that you wanted to go.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Oh, gotcha. And it wasn't a haunt convention or a haunt museum, but there were some scary things there.
I'll say usually I wouldn't care, but the fact that you went someplace so amazingly awesome makes me so insanely jealous that I can't wait to hear your trip report about it.
Good. Well, I guess it's time to crank up the theme song.
All right, let's do it.
I love this theme song.
Step, jump, and skip. We took a trip, and this is our trip report.
Okay, for this trip report, I was pretty excited because I got press credentials to go to IAAPA, which some of you may have heard of, some of you may have never heard of, and it took me forever to remember what the acronym means. It's IAAPA. So you know the A and the P has got to be amusement park.
I'm assuming.
You'd hope
or
so.
Annual Pass.
Or Annual Pass Association. It's the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. So it's sort of like a gigantic trade group. And companies like Walt Disney belong to this, Six Flags, Cedar Fair, the parks in Dubai, as well as the smaller family entertainment centers like Fun Spot, or if you have a local golf course, putt-putt type place, they would be part of IAAPA, as well as I saw people from state fairs walking around.
That's kind of cool, actually. So it's like all-inclusive, like entertainment, or, you know what I mean, theme parks.
But for, theme parks, amusement parks, family entertainment centers, it was quite amazing.
No theme park is left behind.
No, none. I had friends who told me well beforehand that I would not see everything and I would be overwhelmed, and they were right. But I urge you, if you ever get the opportunity to visit IAAPA, to do it, because you're going to see some things that nobody else is going to see for a couple years. A little bit about IAAPA before we get into the overall trip report. There were 1,066 companies that displayed items, and they had over 500,000 feet of trade show floor space, which is a lot. And this is in the Orlando Convention Center. There were 21,000 qualified buyers, they called them, from around the world. This include amusement park executives from water parks, zoos, aquariums, museums, science centers, and there were over 13,000 people that participated and another 25,000 attendees. So this was amazing.
It's a lot of people.
Amazing. And I only got to spend 2 days there. The trade show area was open on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I was there for Wednesday and Thursday because, of course, I had to visit some theme parks while I was in Orlando. Of course. So one of the first things I did was my first virtual reality experience. Unfortunately, it wasn't with an Oculus Rift. This was a knockoff, but it was still really cool. You know those chairs that Will Smith sits in Men in Black when he takes his exam? They look like the eggs.
Yeah.
So they had those, and they put a knockoff Oculus Rift on your head, and you had some handles, like joysticks, and you played a first-person zombie shooter. And the eggs moved up and down and tilted a little bit while you were sitting in it to give that sense of moment. But the aiming reticule was exactly in the center of wherever you looked. So your aim was perfect.
That's kind of awesome.
It was great. And I wasn't scared. You would have been proud of me. I killed a whole bunch of zombies. And me and my group, whoever was with me, we killed the big zombie. It was great. So moved on after that and did the exhibit from Mediamation. And it was basically they had a 3D attraction, that you put on the glasses, and it was over a dome, like a little mini IMAX. And it had, some water sprayed on you and some wind, and it was just showing off their technology. But they also showed off their Oculus Rift technology. And this is the first time I've ever done true Oculus Rift. And it's amazing. Basically, they had, like a four-wheeler, and two people could sit in it, one person could drive, and one person could sit. And since I was by myself, I sat with the salesperson, sales lady. And I got to drive. It was sort of like a warthog from Halo. And you're driving around an arena, and it looks fascinatingly real and amazing. They did warn me that, your perspective would be off a little bit, like when you go for the gear shifter.
Yeah.
So be careful, because it's only forward and reverse. And yes, when I sat down and tried to put it in reverse, I did grab the sales lady's knee. She said, "That's not the gear shift." I said, "I'm so sorry." She goes, "That's okay. It's not the first time." But it looked like you were really in the Halo universe, and they said they could link up like 8 of those.
That's
for
really awesome.
Yeah, and it moved. It was great, and that was by Mediumation. I also got to ride a full-size Zamperla flat ride. That was sort of like a gigantic Dumbo, but it was like hang gliders. That was very, very cool. Right in the middle of the convention floor, there was a flat ride. Got to see all the roller coaster manufacturers that I wanted to see, like Bollinger and Mabillard.
You roller coaster nerd.
You know it, Rocky Mountain Coasters, and talk to them about the new coasters they're making and some of the other designs, and ask them for free stuff, but they couldn't give me a lot of free stuff. I was hoping.
Can I have a free roller coaster, please?
A free roller coaster. But it was great to see, like, Intamin, one of the manufacturing companies. They were all, sitting there with like 6 tables, and they were selling coasters right then and there. It was like a car showroom floor. Was
it, like delivery, or can you just put it in the back of your car?
Oh, yeah, it was like, I think you had to do installment plans.
Okay.
And they would design and build it for you. And there were lots of like coin-op manufacturers for like arcade games, claw machines, cranes, tons of water slide companies there. It was a little overwhelming. Did stop by the HoloViz, and they have this sort of portable half-dome 4D shooter experience where you put on 3D glasses. And it was fantastic. I couldn't tell where I was shooting, but my team won. That's all I know. There was some great food. You can't go wrong with free food at a convention.
No, not at all.
Nathan's Hot Dogs. I did get in line like once or twice or 3 times for that. Got new flavors of Dippin' Dots. There was a Sour Patch Kids flavor that was really good.
Really?
Yes, it was wonderful. It wasn't sour. It was really fruity, which was good. They had free Coke there. They had free Italian ices. There was a great sausage company giving out sausage. I was like, hey. But the highlight of the actual theme park, or the IAAPA floor, was the beaver tails. Loved them.
You have to explain what they are to people.
There was always 30 people in line for the beaver tails. And I first had one like, not Bieber, like Justin Bieber, but beaver.
Like the animal.
Animal, yeah. First had one at like Epcot in like 2004. And my son, who's turning 17, remembers it from when he was like 6, how good they were. But it's basically sort of like an elephant ear for anybody that's been to a state fair or something like that. But they add different flavors to it. It's not quite like an elephant ear, but it's really good. And I had 2 of them, both with cinnamon and with lemon on it.
Interesting.
And it was incredible. Loved the beaver tails. But the coolest thing that we got to do, I guess we, just IAAPA people in general, there's a fantastic little family entertainment center called Fun Spot, which people may have done. There's 2 fun spots. I can't remember which one this was, the one on International Drive. But Mack Coasters, M-A-C-K, let people ride the virtual coaster. And they had 3 special evenings on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that you could go by. You had to have a special ticket and show them your IAAPA badge. And they let you sit on the coaster with an Oculus Rift headset.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So I understand it's Oculus Rift, it's virtual reality. Are you actually on a roller coaster at the same time, or is it just a seat that moves?
You are on a real roller coaster.
Okay, so you're actually physically on a ridiculous roller coaster, but not seeing real life. You're seeing
not at
virtual
all
stuff. Okay.
They have the Freedom Flyer, which is a suspended coaster. Basically means you're sort of hanging underneath the track. Very smooth. And it's about a minute because I was in line long enough. I kept timing it, going, "This feels short," but no, it's a full minute, so it's not bad for a coaster, and it's been there for a while. So they put the real Oculus Rift headset on you. It was completely portable, and you find yourself in a futuristic city, sort of not like Epcot, but just like a space city, and you're in a tank. And there's a little button on the side of the Oculus Rift that you can push, and you can fire lasers. And all of a sudden,
What?
yes, but it's okay. All of a sudden on your left, and you can look around. You can look around. You can see the person sitting next to you. You don't see them. You just sort of see like a helmet.
Like a placeholder.
Like a placeholder. It looks like Master Chief from Halo. Look around. You can see the city. You can, the perspective changes for you. But all of a sudden on your left, an alien pops up, like a big grub alien, and you're like, "Oh crap, that's massive." Your tank takes off. And as you go up the lift hill, the alien grabs the bottom of the highway and pushes it up. So
that's the lift hill.
That's the lift hill.
Okay.
And as you go through the turns and the curves, there was because you were in a tank, like a rocket ship / plane puts a grappling hook on you and pulls you through the city to get away from the monster. It felt better than Star Tours. It felt better than the Indiana Jones adventure. It felt better than, Transformers or the Spider-Man ride at Universal, because you had the real movement. And I laughed the first time I read about different parks doing virtual reality on a roller coaster. It's like, that's stupid.
You
Why
thought it was
do you
ridiculous,
do that?
didn't you?
Enjoy the roller coaster. But now I understand they can build a story. They can build something that feels amazing. You're up 200 feet in the air virtually, even though I was only about 50 feet in the air on the coaster, if that. And you feel your feet swinging. You feel like you are flying. It was absolutely incredible. Everybody that got off of it, whether there were teenagers that were there were theme park executives, everybody was like, "That's the most amazing thing I've ever done."
That's incredible.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Hopefully we'll see that in the next couple of years at a theme park. I know they're doing it at Canada's Wonderland on a wooden coaster, and at Europa Park. Because the guy that I went to see the Mac Rides people the next day and just told him how wonderful it was. He goes, "Oh, here's my business card. If you're ever at Europa, look me up and we'll go do some rides." And I'm
If
like,
you're ever in the neighborhood in Europe,
if you're ever in Europe, I was like, okay. So, yeah, if you get a chance to ride virtual coaster, go for it, because it was awesome. Loved it. Felt great. A mixture of, a great video game with a great coaster. And it was fun. And, it was great. IAAPA in general, mind-blowing. I know I didn't see half of everything that was on the floor. I would have probably had to spend another 2 or 3 days. And each day I was there, I was doing about 30,000 steps. So it's a lot.
So it's a lot of walking, a lot of wandering around, and
a lot of wandering around.
But you didn't see everything, though.
No, I didn't see everything. I didn't even come close. There were several small laser tag arenas they had set up. The new Lego Ninjago ride that's debuting in California, like Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, except you use your hands. You make a gun with your fingers in your hand and you shoot using that.
That's it?
Yes. So you don't have to grab a controller or anything else. You can do different things with your hand, like hold it up as a shield, hold it flat to block things. There's some stuff that's coming out that is amazing.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
Very impressive. So overall, if you get the chance to visit IAAPA, go for it, because it is so cool. So very cool. And you'll learn some stuff. But
jealous.
Yeah, you should be jealous. So I'll get you in next year, Jeff.
Hooray!
If you can get up to Florida. But if you've ever had the chance to visit IAAPA, or you get to ride one of the virtual coasters around the world, let us know. Call us on the Communicore Weekly Goat line. We'd love to hear about it. Call us at 424-785-4628. That's 424-785-GOAT.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
So this week, we are looking at a book that's a Star Wars Battlefront tie-in. Yes, the video game. It's called Twilight Company, and it's by Alexander Freed. Okay, so I've played the previous incarnations of Battlefront and love them. Can't wait to play the new one. Yes, I'm jealous that Jeff got to do that one. So I was kind of hoping for something a little bit different book-wise than what we got, especially after the amazing run of other Star Wars books that we've reviewed over the past year, you know?
Yeah. And I'd call this a tie-in very, very loosely. Because while, one or two of the battles does intersect from the video game, this novel, to me at least, was more about war strategy and making the right move than the actual, battles from the films and the game itself. There were times when it had the classic Star Wars feel, and at others, but to me, the book just kind of left me wanting a little bit more.
Yeah, and, like Star Wars Aftermath, which I really came to love once I got to a certain point in it, this book, the Battlefront book, took me about 100 pages for me to even get the characters' names and the situations down. It was very weird. And I also found myself jumping back to the beginning of the book to figure out if the character was human or one of the other species that they were talking about. And it seemed really confusing to me, and it just didn't need to be.
Yeah,
so.
To be fair, many Star Wars characters have names that are hard to remember or unpronounceable, or just like, what do they just throw, darts at a letterboard to see what comes out? Yeah. But, just like George said, for whatever reason, I felt that these characters didn't have any distinguishing characteristics to make them really stand out to me and have me remember their name. Mm-hmm. And, because the way the storyline jumped around a bit from different time frames, it would jump forward, it would jump into the past. It was just hard to keep track of what was going on, and where whatever was happening and what side that particular section of the story was about.
Yeah, because the chapters didn't have titles as much as it would say 3 days before this battle.
Yeah, or like 17 hours into this battle.
But the battle names sometimes didn't match up, which was weird. They did have some flashbacks, but I didn't know there were flashbacks until halfway through the section.
You just thought they were new characters.
I didn't know what was going on. I don't want to say that the book is all bad, but to me it just didn't stand up to the level of the other books, the other Star Wars books that we've read recently. The idea of following a ragtag military company, this was basically a ground company, which, means there's not a lot of X-Wings or snow speeders. They don't spend a lot of time fighting in space, which is, Battlefront. It's what you're looking for. I thought the idea of this was a great concept, but maybe it would have been better as a collection of short stories, looking at different characters that you could tie into the video game somehow. And, I do love it when novelists are given a side story and allowed to make it their own. I felt like the book dragged on way too long, almost as if the author had a quota. Like, you've got to get to 350 pages.
Yeah. I guess that's a fair observation. It wasn't a bad book, and I'm sure many of you out there will enjoy it. It just wasn't for us. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for George. Yeah. Every author has their own writing style. And, I know a lot of fans complained about Aftermath, which we reviewed, and they complained about the writing style and how it felt like fan fiction. And even though we really enjoyed that book, so I get it. Yeah. Everyone has their own writing style. I'm just not looking for the same type of thing as the other books, obviously. It's just odd because I've enjoyed Alexander Freed, the guy who wrote this book. He has other novels that were set in the Star Wars galaxy, from the old expanding universe, from Knights of the Old Republic, and I really liked it. I think he wrote like 2 or 3, and I loved them. But this one, just for whatever reason, didn't really resonate with me too much.
Yeah, and I want to say it again. I don't want to be too negative about the book, but it felt like, you sort of mentioned it earlier, like a real-time strategy war book.
Yeah.
So somebody who maybe likes playing RTSs may enjoy this one a lot. I did enjoy the last half of the book a lot more once all the action started and you got into the major battle. And there were some twists and turns that were kind of neat that I really enjoyed, but it still just didn't resonate with me at all. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to play the new Battlefront, so I wonder if it will mean more to people potentially that have played the game. Like, the book will mean more because of the characters or the situations in it.
Spoiler alert, it really doesn't. I played a lot of Battlefront. When I say a lot of Battlefront, I mean a lot of Battlefront since it came out. When I'm not playing Fallout 4. But it really, it kind of intersects, but I was kind of hoping it would give me a new perspective on it, and it really didn't. But, that said, it does take another look into the new Star Wars universe, so completionists like us definitely want to check it out without a doubt. However, what are they going to get out of it? I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on your interest in military strategy and your overall love of the Star Wars universe. So it's really up to you.
Yeah, so I think it's a hard book for both of us to recommend unless you like that strategy feel.
Yeah.
So this week's book was Star Wars Battlefront, Twilight Company by Alexander Freed.
Here's another minute that you can't get back. It's the 60-second review.
So for this week's 60-second review, I really wanted to make a short joke, but couldn't come up with anything. So we'll just jump into it. We're going to look at
coming up
Ant-Man.
short?
I'm coming up short on a good short joke. Oh, that's where I should have went with it.
Wait, can I go back to your chip report for a second?
Yeah.
You talked about knockoff Oculus Rifts. Were they Noculus Rifts?
Noculus. Ooh, that's good.
Boom. Anyway, go on.
So that's probably the most entertaining part of this review. So we're talking about Ant-Man, which I did happen to see in the theater. Took my superhero crazed, well, now he's 12. At the time he was 11-year-old, and he walked away loving it. But he also loved Pixels, the Adam Sandler movie. So you got to be careful.
Man.
I enjoyed Ant-Man overall. I know why they needed to bring him into the story for, Civil War and the Inhumans and all that stuff. But, gosh, this was my least favorite of all the Marvel Universe films.
I can see that. I don't know if a lot of people know the story behind Ant-Man, but it's been in development for a long time. Edgar Wright, famous for Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, for many, many, many years has been developing the story. And then just before they started actually making the movie, he left the project. He was no longer going to direct it for creative differences. He wanted to go one way, Marvel wanted to go another way, which is fine. But you can still feel a lot of his touches in the film, I thought.
Okay.
But I felt like his departure kind of made the story uneven. And I felt like it was missing something that the other Marvel films had. I liked it. I did like it. Like you said, it just wasn't my favorite. I thought it was really, really funny. It just was missing something.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Guardians of the Galaxy, which turned out to be, last year's sleeper hit. Everybody loved it. You kind of think a superhero that can shrink to the size of an ant, but he also can communicate with the ants because of a special helmet. And when he shrinks, he does get super strength and some other things. It's really hard to explain, but it's not quite a buddy film, but it's also a mentor film because, the original Ant-Man is passing down his legacy, so to speak, and you get a really good villain. Yeah. Oh, the villain was good. And of course you had lots of fun with the changing in the size and stuff like that. Yeah. That was fun. So I liked it, but it just wasn't as funny as Guardians of the Galaxy, wasn't as heroic as the Captain America films, wasn't as well tied together as the Avenger titles. So I don't know what you're going to do.
I felt like it was a different variation of the superhero film. It was a heist film more than a superhero film. It had more in common with like Ocean's 11 than, Iron Man.
So and like Ants 11.
Ants 11, yes.
Yeah, okay.
See, we told you it wasn't going to be any better than earlier in the review. I enjoy the character of Ant-Man. I've always enjoyed him in the comic book. He is kind of a weird choice for film, kind of like Iron Man was when the first Iron Man came out. Like, everyone was saying, why would they start with Iron Man? And that blew us away. Ant-Man, I feel like, is in this weird place in the Marvel Universe where it has to be put in so he can fit into the rest of the Marvel Universe story. And I really do feel like because Edgar Wright left the project, it suffered a little bit. But again, I enjoyed the backstory they created for Hank Pym as the original Ant-Man and how they filled in some of the gaps of the 70s and the 80s when he was Ant-Man, which we don't know too much about. We see glimpses of it, but it was cool to see him pass along that legacy to Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, who I thought was excellent as the lead character.
He was funny.
But again, it still was missing just a teeny tiny bit. Also, my biggest gripe, I'm not gonna lie, was that Yellow Jacket, the villain, there was no practical suit. It was all CGI.
Yeah, that's true.
It just bothered me so much. I don't know why it did, but it did.
I think my biggest problem with the film was the lack of hair on Kate.
The lack of hair?
Yeah, she had
a weird haircut.
She didn't have the hair like she had in Lost.
Yes, that's Evangeline Lilly is.
Oh, she has a real name.
That's her real name, but it's not just Kate. Okay. Sorry, George.
Okay.
Her hair took a while for me to get used to. It just didn't. The hairstyle just didn't seem to fit her for some reason.
Not at all. I guess 7 seasons of watching her with that great hair she had.
Yes.
And lost.
Go figure.
And I know there's some extras. We talked about it before that we started recording that they just weren't that great. Didn't add a lot.
You know, to be fair, I really enjoyed this blooper reel better than like the last 3 Marvel films. But other than that, I mean, they had the standard making of, which was just, it was okay. They had a couple of fake news reports that, you know, I forget his name. What's the bad guy's real name?
Oh, Cross,
that's it.
Cross,
They had like an interview
with
with him as Alexander Cross before he revealed like the shrinking technology. They had like a couple little supplemental things like that, and they were just okay. They weren't the best. So yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. It's better than most movies out there. It's just not the best Marvel film.
So you definitely need to rent it if you're not.
Without a doubt, you need to see it.
You have to see it because you've got to keep focused on the whole Marvel storyline. You've got to watch it. May not need to add it to your collection. I would have bought it if we hadn't gotten a review copy. I would have added it to my collection regardless.
Yeah.
So 2 antenna up. Maybe?
I'm gonna give it 1.5.
That's good. Yeah, 1.5 antenna.
Antennae?
Antennae? Yeah, maybe.
Is that the plural? I don't know.
That's okay. Somebody will tell us.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely rent Ant-Man if you don't want to buy it, but you need to watch it.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a 5-legged goat.
We all know that the idea of Tomorrowland at basically any Disney park is eventually going to become, I guess, outdated. That's the best way to do it. You know, the future really catches up with us quickly these days, no matter how hard they try, and Tomorrowland is just going to look like Yesterdayland before they know it. So, how did Imagineers solve this? Well, at Tomorrowland at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, they make it the future that could have been. So when you're walking through Tomorrowland, pay close attention to the ground, specifically what you're walking on. And you'll notice that the ground consists of various gears scattered throughout the entire land. The reasoning behind this is that the idea of Tomorrowland works like a clock, and those are the gears of the clock moving in, you know, everything is working in sync together, affecting other things, all while focusing on the idea of time, whether it's the past or the present or the future that could have been, that never was, that kind of thing.
Gosh, yeah, every time we start talking about time, I get a little bit of a headache.
Why? Because it just time travel's
weird.
Confusing?
It is. But that's okay. I love it. And wibbly wobbly, which we haven't used that line.
No, we haven't. Not in a while.
Time. It's been a long time because it's something that we're never going to give up. We're never going to let
Speaking
it go.
of mouthfuls, though,
yes,
it's time for the prize winner for this week's Year of a Million or So limited time cadets. I'm getting really better at this, the segue thing.
Yes, much better because it was like the first 6 months I couldn't get that out.
Yeah,
at all.
Fair enough. But this week's prize pack is a prize pack from Fairy Godmother Travel. And, you know, just so you don't forget, I know we've been saying this every week for almost a year now, but you can still enter. You can send us an email at communicoreweekly@gmail.com and send us your name and your address and your birthday month, and we'll automatically enter you into the contest. We have, 2 months kind of left? Sort of, kind of?
I think so.
Something like that.
It's the maths.
Yeah,
so.
Whatever. Math and time is not our forte.
Yeah, at this point, most of December and part of January. So
yeah,
actually
it's almost over,
weeks.
guys. It's almost over.
Wow.
So this week's winner is Emily E. from Palm Harbor, Florida. Congratulations, Emily.
Yay,
we'll make sure
so
Fairy Godmother
exciting.
Travel sends you your prize pack out very soon.
Yep, and let us know when you get it. Send us a photo at imaginerding@gmail.com or post it to our Facebook page.
Heck yes.
We would love to know it. So, well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, or maybe watching this on an Oculus Rift from the future.
Ooh, that'd be crazy.
Ooh, but we're
however you're watching us, rate us on iTunes, leave us a comment, or hit the like button on Oculus Rift. I don't know what they have. Just do one of those things.
You have to blink your left eyeball 3 times.
Oh, is that what? And you get that piece of dust out too.
Exactly. And you can always email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com to enter the contest. Just say hey to us, send us a photo, or say, hey, sup, Corey?
You can also like us on the Facebook at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Imaginerding. He's at Jeff Heimbuck.
And of course, give us a call on the Communicore Weekly Goat line at 424-785-4628.
Visit communicoreweekly.spreadshirt.com to buy some of our awesome t-shirts that have been made by some of our amazing friends and help us.
And if you want your official Communicore Weekly membership card or a sticker, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Communicore Weekly, P.O. Box 432, Orange, California, 92856.
Yeah, I can't believe how many we've sent out.
So many.
So many. That's so many trips to the post office for you, actually.
Yeah, right?
That's true.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So you can also visit patreon.com/Communicore Weekly and find out how you can support the greatest online show. For Jeff Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck. Thanks so much for listening, guys and gals. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.
Little E.